Welcome, welcome, welcome! It's not Let's Go Live, it's Let's Get Visible show. And today on Let's Get Visible, we are going to get visible. So let's get visible. So here I am. It's just a crazy day today. So we're going to be fairly quick today. So we're going to be getting visible and talking about podcasting. And going to keep it simple today, hopefully. So let's get visible and go to the presentation. So hey, let's get out there and get visible. I'm Jane-Gardner. I work with my husband at a structural engineering firm, and we have 4 channels on TV, Roku and Fire TV, and we are asking you, why aren't you visible? You need to show up and be the face of your business. We discussed that. We've discussed mindset, and we have discussed a variety of things. We're up to episode 15. And website, we talked a lot about your website and how it can make you visible. And then we talked about interviewing influencers and boosting your business by doing that. And right now we're talking about podcasting to increase your visibility. So let's get visible and let's turn the Zoom on. Where the heck did Zoom go? There you are. My apologies, Zoom. We're at podcasting to increase your visibility. So we are going to talk today about podcasting, and people are listening to podcasts everywhere. You provide your content in an audible format to reach a wider audience. And yes, I have 3 podcasts right now. One of them is a video cast, actually, HomeBiz Startup TV on iTunes. You can do video casts as well as podcasting with audio. So HomeBiz Startup TV is my basically my video cast. I have it through a different service than what I'm using for finding your purpose and solopreneur success strategies. These are basically podcast feeds that I haven't really done in a while. The podcast audios, I really should get some more in there, especially now that I'm talking about visibility. But anyway, so we are going to have a quick look later at where I get them hosted and where the feed and goes and all that kind of thing. But right now we're going to talk about starting with your format. We discussed that already. So we're going to start with your format. Last time, you can look at the last episode, we talked about planning your podcast, what you're going to talk about, what you're passionate about, what the format's going to be, what title you want to have, are you going to invite people, and basically today we're going to talk about the gear and the software you need. But you can also look at the format and how you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, and then we're going to basically start with your format, which will dictate what gear you will need to buy and set up. Now, of course, if you're on the internet, you have to have a good microphone, so you're doing well if you have a microphone for your podcast and for any of your Zoom calls and video. And when you're preparing to podcast, you need to set up your gear, but basically buying a microphone is a real consideration. And at the very least, you need a microphone and a program for editing your audio. For the microphone, start with something simple. The microphone you buy will greatly affect sound quality, but you can always upgrade later. It's better to buy a simple microphone first and upgrade later than to spend too much on something fancy that you don't need. So there are 2 types of microphones, a condenser and a dynamic. And we are going to not talk about that further because in Go Live we did about 4 episodes. Let's Go Live show. We did about 4 episodes on microphones and what to use for video. So we're going to basically, condensers are better quality, but they're not always ideal for podcasts because there's more likely to pick up background noise. For this reason, podcasters generally choose dynamics. It's better to use a standalone microphone than a headset because headsets will pick up your breathing and mouth noises as well as your speech. With a standalone microphone, you have more control over its placement, and a tabletop microphone that you can place on your desk is a good flexible choice. So let me just go back quickly here. I'm going to lift up my Yeti and make a lot of noise. But basically, I've shown this before on my Let's Go Live Blue Yeti. It's great. You can make it so that it only picks up your voice and none of the background noise. So let's put that down. But you can also buy a great smaller microphones with their own tripod. This is the Apogee mic, and it has good quality sound, and it can be used with your laptop or with your computer, obviously, or with on your iPad if you connect it up a certain way. So that has good quality sound. I mean, there's lots of microphones that have good quality sound as long as you get a stereo condenser. Basically, you have to go and listen to a few podcasts, decide which kind of sound you like. You know, what are you willing to put up with in terms of sound? Check out the ones that you have and possibly talk to a few people, see what they recommend. And I am recommending a stereo, but it doesn't need to be stereo to do a podcast. But you can look at my Let's Go Live show on all the microphones and what to use if you want to find out a bit more about that. And then, of course, there is the other essentials you need to buy. Basically, there things like a mixer, maybe, to run multiple audio sources and control volume levels. It's not necessary for a simple podcast, but if you have multiple speakers or you're interviewing somebody else or you want to use audio effects, you'll want a mixer. You can run multiple microphones and audio sources into a mixer and use it to control volume levels. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. You can get something called component mixers. You run audio into the mixer before it goes into the computer. There's also mixer software programs. Another add-on that's a good investment is a pop filter. Where did mine go? Here it is. Let me show you my pop filter and what we're talking about. I don't actually use it because I like imperfection and my ums. Hold on. So this is a pop filter. Some of my some of the nylon whatever has torn, but it would still work to stop all the big P's. It reduces the sound on and filters out your pops and your P's on your talking. And you will, as you see, most professionals have it in front of their microphone, but it's not necessary. But it is something that you could use as well. It stands between your mouth and your microphone to prevent explosive breathing sounds. This is especially good for beginner podcasts like us. You may want to try out your microphone first and see if there's any problems before buying a pop filter. Certainly I do a lot of pops in mine. So then there's always other things you can get, but for now we'll continue on about recording your podcast. So if you want to record your podcast, you'll need some way to record it. If you're on a PC, the easiest way is to use the free software called Audacity. We spoke about that on Let's Go Live show. Even showed you how to use it, sort of. And for Mac users, there's GarageBand. Both will give you editable abilities also. And of course, you could use Camtasia, which is for video, and just take out the audio, add music to the audio level, etc. But there's a lot of editing software for audio now, especially now that podcasting is so popular. And then we're going to talk about post-production. So post-productions, you'll need a way to edit. I've just mentioned it's not built into your recording software. There's lots of free editing software programs available, and it's good to try one before you buy it. If your editing needs are simple, a free program will get the job done. If you decide to invest in a digital editing software program, read reviews online, and try out the trial versions before you buy. As I mentioned, I usually use Audacity. It's quite good in that you can put in your podcasts into in a track in Audacity, and then add music in a second track, for example, and fade in and fade out, and all kinds of things with Audacity. But for now, we're just going to continue on and talk about hosting, which we haven't really talked about. Basically, what they don't mention about podcasting is that podcasting is an RSS feed with real simple something feed, and that is a feed that they put the podcast into, and it gets sent out to various podcasting directories, iTunes, Spotify, almost automatically. And but you need somewhere to host your podcast. So basically, there are sites specifically for podcasters, and Blueberry is a good one. And I have mine at Libsyn for a long time. You can actually put your podcast on your website if you have a podcast player, but of course that's the only place it's going to be, unless you also put it into the various feeds that there are out there. Just make sure your hosting, it has plenty of storage and bandwidth available, so you can continue to load many podcasts in the future, and your widening listener base will have no trouble listening to your podcast. So let's go and see if we can get to Libsyn. I didn't check beforehand, so we might have to adjust our view. It's obviously, I kept it open, hopefully, in yes, there we go, in my Google. And so this is one of my, to tell you the truth, I have not done my podcast in about a year or two, but they're still downloading. People are still downloading it all time. For Finding Your Purpose, for example, I have 3,347, and I've done no promotion. I think it's been 2 years. And this week I've actually had 3 downloads. Last 7 days I had 26 downloads. What's good with the hosting one is they have great stats, so you can see how many you had. And so, for example, I haven't promoted it at all, but I had 559. And then they can tell you how many downloads for each episode. So each episode and which ones were the most interesting to people. So you can tell that. And of course, you can have total daily downloads. I mean, obviously, I don't have many because I haven't put any more episodes in. I should really put some more episodes in there. But basically, that is the stats for it. And then what we want to do is see what the social is. Oh no, it's a schedule. See, I've been doing Libsyn for a long time, so they've changed everything on me. Destinations, there we go. So for $5 a month, I can upload a podcast. I don't know how many megabytes or whatever. I'd have to look it up. But it goes, so basically from this RSS feed, or it goes to Apple Podcasts. I set that up. It goes to Spotify. I have a podcast page included in Libsyn. It goes to Radio Public, Amazon Music, Audible, which is Audible, Deezer, Gaina, Player FM, Audacity, iHeartRadio, which was, and let me see if there's any more that I've got for this. Gotta try and find the scroll. No, so, oh, wait a minute. I have maybe another one page. Samsung, JioSaavn, Boomplay, and of course I can do it to my blog. So, in fact, I could add Blogger on Publish too. Anyway, so basically with these hosting sites, you can get them to, you upload your podcast episode, and then it will be sent out by the feed to those various locations. So that's much better than just leaving it on your website and trying to promote it that way. So I get downloads, even now after, let's see, when's the last time I put this one up? 2022, I released it. And so I've really got to put some more up. I need more interviews for finding your purpose. Now that's a good one. I did Home Biz Startup. I haven't done any episodes on that one yet. I really should. Solopreneur Success Strategies. I've had 2,771. And I haven't done those episodes since, 2022, I think? 2020? Yeah, 2021. And then, let's see, I think I have some downloads this week even. Let's have a look. Where are the downloads? The stats. Let's see if we have any. No, we don't have any this week because nobody knows I'm there. Yeah, so anyway, I just thought I would show you that to you to get an idea on the hosting, what they do. Obviously, I would do a longer presentation if we were doing a podcasting course. Okay, so there you have to host them. So $5 a month for a podcast, that's not so bad. I don't think, anyway. So the process of setting up your podcast may sound complex, but it's not really that hard. The best way is to produce your pilot there's a lot of P's in that. Need my pop filter. Produce your pilot podcast. Go back and listen to it, and you'll understand what you need to get started. Whew. So there you go. And I went over 15 minutes, so we're not getting to go to LinkedIn, but hey. So assess your equipment needs. Do you have good equipment? What software will you need? Where will you host your podcast? Get some recommendations on where to host your podcast. Where will you post your podcast? And based on your answers, what do you need to get started with your first podcast? So there you go. Any questions? Of course there are, but this is not a podcasting course, so I'm not going to answer any hard. So let's get visible next week, Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific or 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm not sure what we're going to do. I don't think there's any more to say about podcasting other than go do it. I should go and have a look at my list. What was it? Might be Audible books. I don't know. But there you go. So I have not got the outline for my outline. And it's not open. So let's have a look and get another episode. See where we were. I bet you I took it out of that one. Oh yeah, it's not going to show. My apologies. I took it out. See, I should always have it in anyway. So we're doing audio. So we might be doing audiobooks. You never know. So that's just all we've got for today. And we'll be back next week, probably with Audible books. If you haven't actually thought about doing an Audible book, it's worth it. I haven't put one up, but it's certainly easy to do.